to push the button today.
You did push the button today.
Yay.
I like the button.
Buttons. So it looks like we're going to be celebrating 420 with the East Coast today.
Yay! East Coast!
East Coast. West Side.
East Coast from the West Side.
Dude, when I was a kid and like I didn't know about the whole East Side, West Side reality of the gang things, I thought they were talking about the East and West Sides of Baltimore. And I couldn't figure out why Essex and, you know, like Catonsville were beefing with each other.
I still don't understand why the East Coast and the West Coast were beefing with each other.
I don't get that either.
They're like, I don't know.
Over what? Over all the freedoms that they both want on both sides? That may be different freedoms, but still freedoms nonetheless. Hey, look, people are tuning in.
Oh, people, what up?
Who is it? Who is it?
I don't know. Welcome.
Welcome. So, yeah. How'd you spend your 420? It's 422,
Deuce.
which means it's 420.
420 deuce.
2. We get to
420.
celebrate it again. 2. T-O-O.
420 lasts for all month and then double for 10 days because you got 420 and then you got 421 and then you got, it's like a sequel.
422.
Like, yeah.
3. 424. I like May the 4th be with you. And then March 4th to end cannabis prohibition. Do you get it?
4th.
Like March 4th, like onward something soldier. What is that? How's that go?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm so bad at my Patriot songs. You guys make sure you hit share. We're going to be keeping track of your questions, your comments. Hell, if you want to debate, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll call you.
Just be respectful about it. But we're going to be keeping track here on Ye Olde Freedom Hotline. Sorry, everything's like in reverse. If you watch this, fun fact, if you watch this in your bathroom mirror,
oh, that is fun.
Everything's spelled the right way. So
oh, that is fun.
It'll say on.
But it has to be the bathroom mirror.
It's got to be the bathroom
Yeah,
mirror.
it can't
That's
be,
the only place that
can't be the wardrobe mirror.
That you put your phone on selfie mode, right? It's perfectly acceptable to do that in the
you
bathroom.
Say so.
Oh my God. So wait, so all the people that were screaming and hollering when they started like the gender neutral bathrooms that were like, oh, I don't want people seeing what I do in the bathroom. Are these the same people taking bathroom selfies with their deuce still in the toilet behind them? Like, is that, what exact level of privacy are they striving for here?
I'm wondering if their bathrooms at home are gender neutral.
I'm saying my bathroom's gender neutral at home.
That outhouse I shit in the other day, totally gender neutral.
Hey, that's called the voting booth.
The voting booth.
Don't use the wrong terminology. I'm having internet issues here, but you know, what else is new?
I'll pull it up. Hello everyone, I am Zig. And this is
G.I. Mary Jane. And we are not sick anymore.
No.
We battled a cold for like
I feel good.
Yo, it could have been COVID.
Could have been Corona, man. I don't know. I didn't get tested. That way the numbers can stay low.
Mm-hmm. Could have been the flu. Could have just been allergies.
It could have been a placebo effect, like hysteria. Oh, everyone's getting sick, and then we just get sick for some odd reason.
Yeah, mine was like a sinus thing, but honestly, it didn't feel any different from any other sinus issues I've ever had in my life.
I had a bit of a sore throat and a little bit of a cough, and it went away like 3 days.
It was fine. It was hell, but just like any other sickness that you go through is hell. What did I do? Water, sleep, listen to my body, didn't go in contact with others.
Vitamins,
vitamin to vegemin. Good stuff. OD Dubs watching. OD, your prize package from answering our awesome question. What did he answer? Was the biggest tyranny? It had something to do with the government. Kudos to you, sir. But
well
your
done.
prize package should be arriving on Friday, along with some awesome these things. I found a few of these. These are like weed packed, rosin filled necklace charms. And 3 ladies, all of which ironically were in Maryland, got their hands on those. So keep with the donations, because what do I do with the donations? I make more shit to give to you guys, because I don't know.
Because you matter.
You matter, and I liked Sunday school when I was a kid, and you know, religion all set aside, I like being a voluntarist to my community. And I like I like being treated the same way, but unfortunately we don't see that a whole lot now, huh?
So Zach's doing some flexing and said, cannabis?
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 What about cannabis? Zach who? Zach Parks?
Yep.
Zach
And
Parks?
we are smoking on some Jack Flash.
Jack Flash.
Flash. It's a mixture between Flash Gordon and Jumping Jacks. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now.
And it was courtesy, which is funny because that's actually, wow, that's his nickname. Courtesy of my good friend Curtis Carpenter, who I call Curtis E because he is so goddamn courteous all the time. We'll give you the shirt off his back. I can't wait to get
How does that even happen? How do you grow up in today's age and not get jaded? Well done, Kurt.
Well done, Curtis. I love you, brother. You know I do. But Curtis made an amazing contribution on 420 to help us get our hands on the 420 goodies from Yale Medical Dispensary, which a couple of them had lines like legitimately around the block. Man, it was incredible. But we wait like 20 minutes to get our hands on this, I think.
Yeah, maybe about 20, 30 minutes.
It's less time than I've waited for the weed guy in the mall parking lot back in the day. I'll say that much.
For sure.
I'm not pissed off. But yeah, thank you, Curtis, and thank you, Cash App, Platoon 420. Again, will help us continue to help you. And yeah, you guys go ahead and tell us, what you did on your 420 in the comments. And I'll tell you what Zig and I have planned for the month of May, June. We think we might switch it up a little bit in July,
in
right?
the merry old month of May.
The merry old month of May. What is that from?
A cadence when I was in the Army.
It's a song. I'll figure it out. No, but we're going back to the original format. So I started doing the War Room back in January. That's war with 2 R's.
Whoa. It's like mad to the... Like Mothers Against drunk driving, but it's war.
But war, do you get it? Weed arrests and the ridiculous regulations that cause them, WARR. And it's just a recap of the weekly drug arrests. And I used to report them. It was all like somber and kind of serious at times. It's so hard to keep lighthearted on your own. And we're going to do that again, but we're going to do it together with a bit of comedy and upliftedness and zag and bong hits and interaction with you guys, and get back to that once a week format here starting after the Freedom Wedding, which is May 1st.
May the 1st be with you.
May the 1st be with you, which is also the day Arizona opens back up.
Yeah, I believe that they're inviting people to the wedding, aren't they?
They are inviting people to the wedding. So how do you find that? How do you find that information?
Wouldn't it be on Adam's page?
Adam Kokesh.
Adam Kokesh.
That guy, our neighbor here at the beautiful Garden of Freedom, where we actually get to live in peace and on low resource and
off grid,
and eventually self-sustainable if we were to stay put in one place long enough, which I know I can't do.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know how you stay in the same place for more than a season. See, I travel. I have been for 6 years now, so when I can stay somewhere for about 3 or 4 months, and then it's time to just move on because it's starting to get mundane and the treadmill. I can't do that. So Zach says, cannabis? No, like cannabis when you were sick with the flu or COVID or whatever. Oh. Yeah, we totally smoked weed the entire time. Anybody we smoked weed with, we were sure to let them know, hey, we're not feeling good. It's up to you if you want to consent to sharing this pipe with us. Some people said no, some people said yes.
But everybody had choice.
Everyone had choice. It was the same way I would do before COVID. I would be like, yo, I'm not feeling good. Do you want to hit this joint with me or not? And then they get to choose. You know what? I'll expose myself. And it's the same thing today. I think it should be, but,
Dude, I even warn people when I put chapstick on before passing it with bowl, don't I? I'm like, careful, I just put chapstick on.
Unless you want chapstick on, you don't want to hit that.
Yeah, and that's something stupid, but if you put your lips on something and weren't expecting this goopy chapstick on it, that's kind of like
a surprise.
That's kind of a salty-ish, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a surprise.
You raped me with chapstick.
Your lips get raped with chapstick. What if you're allergic to the shit in that chapstick?
What if you already put chapstick on?
Yeah, now you got like a mixed flavor of like CBD orange and CBD raspberry.
Yeah, nobody wants that shit.
Nobody wants that shit, right?
OD dub. I like cannabis all the time. I guess that because your name is like OD dub. I remember what a dub is.
Dub like dubstep though? It's a multi-termed or a multi-defined.
Not when I was a kid. A dub was a 20 sack.
I guess.
I'm here to buy dub. Anyways.
I miss the word zip. I think we should bring that back. I want to go out and get a zip again.
Well, then go buy a zip. We got half zip.
We got half zip.
It's like the zipper broke.
The zipper broke in half. It always sucks because then your parts hang out.
Well, let us know what you're hitting on in the comments. Like, I know some of you out there are smoking weed. If you're on the East Coast, that means you're 7 minutes away from 420. So, what's up? What are you hitting on? Are you doing dabs? Are you eating an edible? Are you combusting some flower?
I am drinking some coffee, as per usual. And this time I actually kind of fruit-feed it up. I usually drink my coffee just straight jet black, and I got this like
more hardcore than me.
French vanilla stuff in it, but that's only because I'm running out of coffee.
I drink my coffee black with sugar, with like copious amounts of sugar. And she drinks it black, and then I'm like, yo, is this my coffee? And I go, and I'm like, ugh!
And I do the same thing.
No, it's like a hot beer. I can't do it.
Oy vey, oy vey. Yeah, nobody's smoking today? I guess so. Uh-oh. Hold on, let's catch up on the comments here. Zach says, are you guys in a relationship? This is news to me. I mean, Zach, we're in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with you, bro. When we're dealing with Team Freedom, we were in big relationships in that crowd of protesters the other day. Yeah, because relationships are a human thing, and we should all be in many of them in one way, shape, or form. Is that a fair response?
Everything is a relationship.
Everything is a relationship. Hopefully a good one, too. And you get to pick whether or not the relationships that you have
are healthy,
are full of positivity, are full of negativity. Just like you get to choose whether your weed puts you to sleep or gets you motivated. I need a pokey thing.
I'm actually not seeing your
Just scrape this up and scrape this up.
Scrape it up.
Pour this out. Well, here, why don't you look at it on the Freedom Hotline, since Mark Zuckerberg clearly hates me.
Is it on GI Mary Jane?
It is on GI Mary Jane.
Okay.
I think.
So.
Am I that stoned already?
No,
this is like
I'm
only
not.
my third bowl. There's no way. There's no fucking way.
No way.
I like this pipe, by the way. Hold on, let me bring this closer. It's a little dirty, but that's okay. But it's this cool little bubbler, and I like the spider on the side. Do you? Oh, hold on. Do you see the spider?
The spider. Actually, that pipe was given to me by a man in Slab City, and his name is Spider. He runs an Airbnb.
And there's one here.
Spider runs an Airbnb. It's a family-owned Airbnb in Slab City, an off-grid town called California Ponderosa. Originally built by a Vietnam veteran friend of mine named George, and was later sold to Spider and his family, Shannon and their 2 young kids, one in high school, one in middle school. Great people. They don't have any presence online, but if you ever make it out to Slab City, California, Salvation Mountain, East Jesus area, check out California Ponderosa and let them know that Zig sent you.
Did you say East Jesus?
East Jesus is an art collective, an off-grid art collective in California. It is not religiously motivated whatsoever.
But this just kind of like foreshadows and takes me back to my random ass rant about the East Side, West Side thing.
Well, there is actually next door to East Jesus a community called West Satan.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, they don't really like East Jesus. East Jesus doesn't really care for West Satan. There's been a long feud going on in Slab City between the 2 of them for a lot of years. But,
wait,
local town drama, it's fun.
Does West Satan get along with West Jesus, though?
There is no West Jesus.
Is West
There's
Jesus
East
like a
Jesus
little bit more
and
gangsta than East Jesus?
Well, West Satan was built by a guy named Jack Two Horse, and he did it basically in protest of East Jesus because he didn't like them.
But, see, okay, fair enough. Irony. Jesus was like one of the original protesters. So, I mean,
Go figure.
Go figure, right? Maybe you should have thought that one through.
OD Dub, talking about his name, says, it came from my battle when I was stationed in Korea. He's referring to a battle buddy. I'm sure that he could see on my hat. I'm rocking my CIB. I was never stationed in Korea, though. I feel like I might have missed out on that experience. As much of a negative experience as it is for most soldiers. Yeah, I never got to do that.
Wait, Korea, like the Korean War?
Well, no, we still have a base in South Korea, and it's an Army and Air Force joint base where we still send our troops to regulate the demilitarized zone right there in the border between.
I was gonna say, because that's a long time ago. My dog tags that I wear, they belong to my grandfather from the Korean War.
They're
old AF.
We are technically still at war with North Korea. We never declared peace. We
suck.
never signed a treaty. So when our troops go over there, they're technically in a combat zone with no active combat.
I think anybody who walks into North Korea is kind of in a combat.
But they're not. They're in South Korea. But we're still.
Oh, yeah.
But America is still at war with North Korea. It's never been officially ended. So.
It seems that people in power like war and force.
Well, it's our major export in America is war. We've exported more war than we've exported anything else. That's a topic for another conversation. I personally think that there's been a few justifiable wars. Like, we literally stopped the Nazis. So, twice.
Kudos to that.
Zach Park says, yes, she's high. She doesn't get high.
No, Zach, are you, am I going to see you this week, bro? I heard rumor you're coming. I hear the Yeeples are coming.
The Yeeple.
The Yeeples. Oh, speaking of which, when Pete and Alan Yeeple are getting here, we're going to do a little bit of videoing around the walk for change or the message behind it, because that's kind of shitty. We've for years a group of people have been planning this big walk and getting little grassroots organizations pocketed across the country excited about having their own little events until we do this grand march, right, which is supposed to start on July 17th off the top of my head.
What are they marching for?
We're marching for our cannabis rights. We're marching for freedom. And we were going to present this new Bill of Rights with our demands, kind of akin and similar to the demands that Team Freedom's been posting every single day, ironically enough. And these are, look, I hate people who are like, that was my idea. Like, no, it's people,
our idea.
It's ours, the people's idea, because when people get passionate about things, of course they come to the same, conclusions and ideas independently. But if you bring all those people together, those independent thoughts become this big, great movement. And that's what we were trying to accomplish with the Walk for Change. But there's fear that the shutdowns and everything are going to deter people from leaving the house. Obviously, fundraising came to like a complete halt, not just for the walk, for the campaign, for everything.
Everyone's afraid of money right now.
Yeah.
And money's tight. A lot of people lost their jobs. I completely understand their hesitance.
Yeah, man, I'm not even mad. I don't even, it's not, everybody's suffering, and we'll get through it with resources that aren't necessarily money within our community, I think. But yeah, so Pete and Helen are going to be here, and we're going to do some filming to try to capture what the spirit of that walk is, right? And try to make that viral, because if we can't walk, we can virtual walk, right?
Yeah, it's 2020, dog.
2020, dog. We can
go online and share our message, and awareness is so important. And since awareness is so important, go ahead and hit share. Share this to your groups, to your wall, to your friends, to your loved ones, anybody who might need to hear it.
We love you. Oh, and speaking of Yeeples, Pete Yeeples watching right now. He says we'll be smoking together soon. I think Pete's leaving today or tomorrow.
Is his name Yeeter People?
Peter Yeeple Eater?
I got puns all day long.
Peter Yeeple Eater! I love this. It can't be the first time you heard that, Pete, but definitely the first time it came to my little brain here. But
OD Dub says, no, post-war, not the Korean War. He was at Fort Stanley in Casey, north part of South Korea. Yeah. Right on the DMZ. The DMZ, if you remember, a couple of years ago, Trump was the first president since the Korean War, which my grandfather was in the Korean War, by the way. Trump was the first president to step foot into North Korea since the war popped off, and we're still in war. So that was historic, whether you like Trump or not. That was his little mark on that piece of our American history. So yeah, OD Dub, thank you for your service. If you want to throw your MOS down there, I'm just curious. You don't have to.
Yeah, everything's done in choice and stuff. So it's 4/20.
Happy 420.
Happy 4/20 to you. Boop, boop. What did you guys do on your 4/20? We had a pretty productive 4/20.
We had a busy 420.
Yeah, man, it was exhausting. We were up at 6, out at 8, home at 10 or 11,
it was 10, 30, 11, something like that. Maybe it might have been closer to 11, 11:30.
I
was pretty exhausted by the time I got home.
It's really not okay. It's really not okay
But yeah, we woke up early here at the Garden of Freedom and got in the truck and convoyed south with the other campmates we have here. And we went to the Open Arizona protest at the Capitol building in Phoenix.
Did we go eastbound and down?
Oh man, we did go a little eastbound and then we went a little down.
But free hemp seeds to anybody who knows who that reference is.
Eastbound and down?
Eastbound and down.
I would not get hemp seeds out of this. It sounds familiar. I don't know where it came from. Really. Don't tell me because then they'll know.
I'm not telling you. That's great. Maybe I'm just that big of a dorky, closet.
I don't think so. I think I just don't deserve hemp seeds.
Or something. Everybody deserves hemp seeds. We need to put hemp back into the ecosystem. Like, how dare we tell Mother Nature that she didn't know what the hell she was doing and rip an entire species of come on. Yeah. Stop. Like, I can't.
You know what happens when other things leave the ecosystem? We spend millions of tax dollars to protect them because it is now an endangered species, isn't it?
That's generally
and taking things out of the ecosystem takes away food for some animals, takes away the entire circle of life for that area. So why we do it with other plants,
it's beyond me. It's kind of funny. I keep seeing videos I don't want to talk about the protests and COVID anymore. I'm done talking about COVID because it's just not going to affect my life anymore. It's not, unfortunately. I'll be aware of it. It's something new that I need to be cognizant of when I make decisions in my life. But past that, not going to let it affect me. But it's kind of funny, and I made the connection this morning. There was a video of a bunch of moms that protested. They went to a public playground. They took down the tape, and their kids just played. And I mean, it was just kids playing. There weren't even signs or anything. It was just kids playing and moms chatting.
In a public, tax-funded park.
Right. And so the cops came in with guns and pointed, they didn't literally point guns in these people's faces, but they're there. Why are you walking in with a threatening weapon, right? When my kids are around, they told them to leave. One lady, who was actually a wife of a cop in a different county in the same state. What was it, Idaho?
It was Idaho.
It's Idaho. Idaho. But no, they arrested her, and all she, did was just say, no, we're not leaving. We're here. This is a public place. It's like, okay, so there you are in a public park with your kids playing, minding your own goddamn business, being peaceful. All of a sudden, guys with guns on their hips come, put their hands on you, right? And then force your hands. They use force, and they take you to a cage. And if you don't go to that cage with them, they're going to put guns in your face. Or tasers, if you're lucky. But
they will assault you. They will use violence.
They will assault you while they're abducting you. The cannabis community. That's like the perfect... here you are, right? Peacefully sipping your coffee, smoking your joint in your living room. Maybe you got a farm outside, right? With some but you got some plants, whatever. I don't give a shit. You're sitting there eating your Twinkies, doing whatever you did. I don't even care if you're in a public park, honestly. Why you can't smoke in public is beyond me, right? And then all of a sudden, he's leaving because he's heard this story before. Unfortunately, we've all been victim to it, or we know somebody who's been victim to it. All of a sudden, cops come in. He's not a cop. Dudes with guns come in while you're sitting there just doing this.
Oh, man, you're assaulting everybody.
How dare you smoke that plant? Man, we're going to have to ask you to stand up. They're not even that nice about it, though. Let's be real. They kicked the fucking doors down. Okay? It's like, if this is illegal, it's a peaceful, illegal thing, right? So it shouldn't be, they shouldn't use any more force on cannabis smokers than they do on, like, so you're speeding. It's illegal. The cop doesn't walk up to your window and be like, why are you fucking speeding? Right? Sure, you're breaking a law or a regulation, but they talk to you about it, right? Like, with respect, and you like it or not, you take it up with your congressman and your representative if you want to have that law changed.
If that was a normal activity, that's exactly how kindergarten teachers would treat kindergartners who break the rules. If it was a normal activity, kindergarten teachers would threaten the children with violence in order to change their behavior. We don't do that because it's fucking wrong.
And it doesn't work.
And it's ineffective. It's not effective, not for long term. So why do we do it to adults? Food for thought.
Well, if you wear a badge, it's okay.
If that kindergartner's hurting another child, yes, I will put my hands on that child to stop them from hurting someone because they're using violence, and I will use appropriate force to stop that violence. However, if they're just being mean to each other, I'm not going to threaten of violence on a kindergartner because it's wrong. And if it's wrong to do to a child, it's wrong to do to anybody.
Period. Yeah, I don't understand where we lost this in society. You know, we grew up to learn, don't hit, don't steal, don't kill. But people who are elected officials are allowed to do those things every day to the cannabis community. And I'm using that. I mean, because it's really the most discriminated against community in history, if you think about it, because cannabis isn't a white thing. Cannabis isn't a black thing. It's not like straight people use cannabis and gay people don't, or Muslims. It's a, like,
it's a human thing.
It's a human thing. Every culture, not all of them, okay, but every culture, race, background, color, creed, religion, somebody within those groups, a good bit of somebody's, use cannabis. So
cannabis users it's a melting pot, isn't it? Can you think of any creed, culture, religion that doesn't use cannabis? I would argue to say Muslims because they are very strict about what they put in their bodies. But I've met plenty of Muslims who smoke weed, and then they just ask for forgiveness like Christians do, and it's okay.
I think they use it in oils and teas and shit, though. Like,
Hashish
I think they use
more
the
common.
plant.
Yeah,
they still utilize the plant in one way, shape, or form. Hey, in Peru, where they're hiking up the Andes and stuff, they chew on coca leaves, and it's like a medicinal thing. And you know what? You can chew too many fucking coca leaves and turn into a hot mess on the streets, and that's something they have to deal with. But I can do that with coffee or
literally
beer.
Too much of anything is a bad thing. Bath salts, for example, or even just salt in general. Did you know that you need a certain amount of salt every single day to not die?
That's crazy to me.
Did you know that if you took too much salt, you will die? So, too much of anything is a bad thing, but we only regulate some things.
It's very unfortunate.
Don Leo says, what up? 420 time.
Hey, Don.
Since the beginning.
How's everything going over there in Maryland, Don?
It's a merry in Maryland.
Merry in Maryland. Let me know what you're smoking on and what grower it came from. I really miss Maryland. It was great. I got to be there to see, all these cultivators start opening up and all the stores, and, how things changed and evolved, and who was there for their community and who wasn't. And actually, fun story, that Platoon 420 was kind of born because Curio, a dispensary in Maryland, and also they're their own grow operation too, and they're like the highest priced in Maryland.
Wow.
That's a factual thing, not an opinionated thing.
It's a factual thing.
It's a fact.
Can you Google it?
Can you Google it? You can Google boycott Curio. So they tried to enter a lawsuit with the state to prevent them from issuing new grow licenses. And meanwhile, we were dealing with like only 7 grow operations. People were like selling out and had to wait until they restocked. It was the beginning of the market, right? It was waiting for things to, um, why? I don't know. But a group started, Boycott Curio, and started talking about, like, you know, the community got together and said that they didn't want this. And by Monday, Curio withdrew its lawsuit.
Wow.
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 People.
Wow.
So me and a couple people decided to make Platoon 420. The original intent for that was to make it like a rally response app. But things like that take money and development, you know. But dispensaries aren't getting raided by the feds anymore, so it's a little bit of progress. They're still getting harassed with.
I think that actually has more to do with the fact that, and I hate to say this, I know you guys are going to hate to hear this, but I think the feds stopped raiding them because we have a Republican in office right now, and historically they are more pro-states' rights, even though that's not always the case. But they are, historically, conservatives are supposed to be more about states' rights. So you notice actually that shift happened right around the election when they stopped raiding pop shops. Prior to that, you saw it a lot more often. Maybe it's because it was new and now we've had more time and the majority of states have some sort of form of legal marijuana. So the culture is changing.
There was an amendment entered in 2016, which is right when I really started getting, you know, got into full-time activism. You're an activist your whole damn life. Like, I was trying to liberate the monkeys in kindergarten on the field trips, no lie. But in 2016, the Cole Amendment was just that. It was language. It was a bill that was supposed to say the feds are not allowed to spend any federal resources on raiding states as long as they were operating within the laws of their state. So essentially protecting states' rights. But it was vetoed and held back and forth by Obama and Trump, both of them back and forth on it a little bit. But there was no action during that time. What they did do to some places is they sent the FDA in on like food violations instead of weed
for their edibles. Oh man, I can't wait till you can buy edibles on food stamps. That'll be a good day.
Yeah, man. But we're evolving, right? Like the whole track to legalization is evolving, and the Fed, being the bureaucratic institution that it is, it takes forever for them to get through things. And I'm pretty confident within myself that, you know, House, Senate, everybody's pretty much on a federal level agreeable to. They don't give a shit about cannabis, but it's a lot. They want to figure out how they get a profit off of it, and that's what's taking so much time. Is they're trying to do their math and figure out their stocks and their this and their that, and what am I going to regulate? What are we going to force the states to do?
It's so easy because the wheel's already invented. Like I said, we have more states with legal cannabis than without nowadays.
Yeah.
And so the feds don't need to look elsewhere to figure out what is a working model and what isn't. Look at the states and pick the ones that have done well with it. I would like to bring up Oregon in that. Like, so in California, when they legalized weed, all the tax money went into this giant slush fund, and the politicians get to decide where that money is spent. But in Oregon, when we voted on it, and I was an Oregonian at the time, that money is, in law, has to go towards specific things like addiction services, roads, schools, education, and police. So the politicians don't get to decide, oh, we're going to take some money out of this and put it over here. In California, I would have voted no on that. So pay attention.
I'm cool with that, but like the feds shouldn't have to think about anything.
No, the wheel's already invented. Don't
exactly.
reinvent it.
The only thing the feds have to do is lay their dirty hands off of our beautiful weed and let the states decide. And you know, if you don't like the regulation in your state, you and a group of people get together, you talk to your representatives, you start to change things, and it happens way quicker. In some cases, Maryland legalized or decriminalized and legalized a medical market and started allowing people to see doctors and get their registrations. But it took them 4 years to open a dispensary and make this product available to people.
There's states out there that weed is legal medicinally, and there are no dispensaries yet. That's the thing.
It's incredible.
So
it's incredible.
I would like to the feds even enforcing cannabis just blows my mind, because their tax dollars don't come from some federal state. They come from the people within each state. And when the majority of the states have legal cannabis, how
are you appropriating those funds?
how are we taking this money and spending it on raiding these places? Like, that's our money that we are giving to the federal government, and the majority of us have already said no, cannabis is legal, but please take our money and turn us into criminals, even though we get to choose.
Absolutely not, man. That's incredible, and that's why, you know, I'm kind of excited but anxious about going back to the old news format. But, you know, it was quiet for a while because everybody's talking about COVID. If I had like resources and funding for this, I could probably, you know, be in the loop with like every state's arrests and really be reporting on this stuff. But I'm starting to see a lot more come back in the headlines lately, and it's disheartening. So it's time to get back to that format and start making people aware, because they don't report on it. And when they do report on it, the headlines are so awful, and they always make you, the victim, look out to be like some violent, awful criminal, when all you were doing was driving down the road with maybe a freaking blunt roach in your ashtray and a taillight out.
And now you're a criminal.
And now your face is plastered everywhere. Police bust drug suspect, right? And everybody gets the wrong idea because most people are just headline junkies, you know.
Not to mention the forever, my personal arrest, I was arrested for cannabis at 19 years old in North Carolina. I was out in the woods smoking a bowl with two other friends of mine when the DEA came traipsing back into the woods. No kidding.
The fucking DEA?
So this guy...
That's like super cops, dude.
Okay, so this guy, his name was Paul Cheshire. He was a DEA agent in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, back in the early 2000s, and he always wanted to arrest me. If you've ever seen that movie Catch Me If You Can, it was kind of like that relationship. And
with Howard Hughes thing? No.
No.
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah, and Leo played Howard Hughes in The Aviator. But
I was thinking. Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so this day, he watched us go back into the woods. He probably knew we were going back there to smoke weed, so he came with his gun out. I was 19 years old. I was with another 20-year-old kid, and then a minor who was 16. When they searched us, they found the pipe on the minor. I'm sorry, no, they found the bag of weed on the minor, and they found the pipe underneath the other kid I was with, the 20-year-old, and they arrested all three of us. I didn't have anything on me. They didn't find anything on me. I was just there. And then they put me in jail. At the time, I couldn't afford the bail because I forget what it was, but it was way more than I had at 19 years old. So I sat in jail and waited for court. And by the time court came around, because you have the right to a speedy trial, I sat in jail for a month. And then at that point, I had the choice of whether I was going to plead guilty and get out of jail, or if I was going to plead not guilty, stay in jail so I could fight out my case. So what happened was I pled guilty, and I got time served and a $100 fine, and they let me out. That was my personal arrest experience, and it followed me forever. You know, trying to join the military with this pot charge years later ended up being an issue, and I ended up having to pick a job that I was trying to get a different one, and I couldn't get the job I wanted because of it. So,
well, no, weed's back in the news, and actually I want to stop and read this article, and this is kind of a reverse, right? It says Reading police arrest 5 in theft of $100,000 worth of medical marijuana from growing facility. So this is in the Reading Eagle. Stephen Henshaw writes, Reading police recovered 22 pounds of medical grade marijuana worth nearly $100,000 that was stolen from a Reading cannabis growing facility by 5 teenagers who broke in. Dude, I am so happy that they went and actually took the time to apprehend these guys. But here's what pisses me off. If somebody comes into your house right now and steals your weed, the cops are not going to help you.
Not if I'm in a state where it's illegal.
No, not even if you're in a state where it is legal. I can almost guarantee you. They're going to say it's below a certain thing. They don't have time for it. You can make a civil complaint. That's what you're going to hear. They're not going to go after unless the door was broken in or something like that. Okay, I'm sure. But even that, they might just go after them for burglary and ignore the weed thing because when they steal your weed on the side of the road, even in states where it's decriminalized, people are like, oh, it's okay, it's decriminalized, right? Well, no, but that means that they can steal your possessions. And not only after they take your possessions, they give you a ticket. So you have to pay them for taking your shit. This isn't okay. So I'm happy, but it's akin to the mafia. Now hear me out, right? Back in alcohol prohibition, okay? If your bar wanted to operate, you had to pay that local crime boss, right? You had to pay him his dues, and that was to protect you, right? They were protecting your business. You gave him however much you gave him a month, right? And you were able to operate. They protect you from the police. They protect you from persecution. They protect you from being charged with a crime, right? But because of coercion with the police. But hear me out, right? Same thing's going on here. You get your medical license, your dispensary license, right? You pay the state thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in regulatory and licensing fees for your protection. So then they protect you. If you're not in that elite class, though, they're not going to protect you. If you are in that elite class and you don't have the money to pay them, or you piss off the wrong person at the regulatory office, they're still going to come after you with guns. This is extortion, the way that most states are even handling cannabis. So just keep that in mind in activism and outreach efforts moving forward. This stuff should be classified no differently. Lavender or fucking aloe or oranges. Peanuts are more dangerous. I mean, there's so many. It's nature. Put it with nature. Right? Tomatoes are overregulated, but cannabis should be no more regulated than tomatoes. So do you have any idea the amount of regulations over tomatoes?
I don't.
I think we should do the first relaunch episode of the War Room on how many. I think it was, I don't know if it was Adam or somebody else in the LP, but there's a big thing in the cannabis activist community. Regulate like tomatoes, right? I get the point, right? But somebody said, no, no, don't do that.
Not
I'm like,
tomatoes, pick
what the
potatoes.
fuck are you talking about, right? Yeah, exactly. They're like, do you have any idea how overregulated tomatoes are? How much you have to pay to operate in the tomato growing industry? And I honestly never really looked into it. They went over it all right there.
Maybe they meant tomato.
Maybe they did mean tomato. I must have misheard them because I was smoking.
Smoking the
Cannabis.
ganja. I saw a court case, and this was an 1.5-hour video I watched about a DUI pullover. And it was, I believe, in Kentucky, where a guy was pulled over. No, he wasn't pulled over. He ran out of fuel on the side of the road. And shortly afterwards, an officer pulled up to help him out, right? Because you got a vehicle on the side of the road. And in the course of their conversation, they realized that the officers suspected that he was stoned, and because he said he smelled marijuana. So he searched the vehicle. There were the guts to a blunt in the car. No marijuana. And the officer claimed he found shake on the floor, like the little debris from rolling your blunt. You just brush it onto the floor. Searched the vehicle. Didn't find any cannabis. Gave him a field sobriety test. Claimed that he failed that field sobriety test. Arrested him for DUI of cannabis and put him in jail. So this was a court case of that guy defending himself because he pled not guilty and he asked for a jury trial. So the prosecution basically said what happened. The officer explained what happened, but the cross-examination was done by this brilliant lawyer who first went through the cop's training as far as DUI stops. Cop went and explained his training, and the officer said, or the defense attorney was like, okay, did you ever take this class, this continued education class that is offered to you and to help you identify narcotic DUIs better? And the officer was like, no. And how long have you been on the force? 17 years. Have you ever taken any extra training in regards to DUI stops since the academy? Officer said, no. So the defense attorney said, so your last time training for DUI stops was in the academy 17 years ago? And the officer said, yes. And the attorney asked him, have you ever been trained to identify cannabis DUI suspects? And the officer said, I'm sorry, what do you mean? And he said, when you were in the academy, did they teach you to identify alcohol DUI stops or cannabis DUI stops? And then the lawyer explained that he has been through this training and went through it very clearly as to what the training is. You have a group of people who are various levels of drunk, and the officer does his thing and then tries to assume what the BAC is going to be. But they never did it for cannabis. So first off, they destroyed his training. Second off, he was like, so you had reasonable suspicion to search the vehicle because this person smelled like cannabis. And the officer was like, yes. And he's like, do you know that smelling like cannabis is not a crime in Virginia? And the officer was like, yes, I'm aware. So it does give you probable cause, but it isn't a crime to smell like cannabis. Cops searched the vehicle, found no cannabis, and did a field sobriety test that he's never been trained to do. And the guy was found not guilty by a jury of his peers because that officer is not trained to identify who's stoned and who's not. So if you're ever in that situation, shut the fuck up Friday and talk to an attorney.
And what that officer is guilty of is having an ego, because if he were aware of all these things, if he were self-aware that he did not know everything he said right there in court, he's like, well, I don't know how he acts before versus how he acts now.
Right.
I didn't know. So he admitted that he has no idea, right? But in the moment, he still practiced the judgment to just defiantly tell that person what to do and treat them as if the way that they were acting was somehow wrong. And it doesn't sound to me like there was any
the victim in that
bad
case,
behavior involved in this.
The victim,
except for by the cop.
Yeah, even the attorney was like, running out of gas isn't a crime, right?
It was hilarious. It was like 20 minutes worth of courtroom footage.
Oh, it was an hour and a half, but it was 20 minutes of that one attorney just rip, and you could see the cop's face during the trial just get more like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like I have blown this for my state.
Crazy. To catch up on the comments. Oh, and it deleted itself because Facebook is a twat. OD Dub said there is some crazy arrest going on within a family member, a veteran friend of his.
Yeah, my Marine brother was just arrested, and he has his medical card. Lake County, Florida, last Friday.
Yeah, man.
And he is still in jail.
Email me about this. The best I can do is, like I said, we're going to get back to the old format. We're going to start reporting from Platoon 420. Fingers crossed if we can get the URL bill paid for by, I think, May 15th is the expiration date on that. I'm not 100%. And I don't even think I have it. Zag, do you have the lighter? Oh, here it is. But we're going to start reporting the news again on the website in text from the perspective of the victims, as well as in the old podcast format. And we're going to be able to give the opportunity for anybody who is a victim of the drug war to have a platform to tell their story on. So please, get in touch with me of that. And that being said, you guys, if you are in the middle of an active case, keep your motherfucking mouth shut.
Shut the fuck up, Friday.
Shut the fuck up. Don't talk to me or anybody unless your case is closed or you have a lawyer that tells you it's okay. Because any one little thing that you say, especially on social media, can be brought back. And you can say it in complete innocence, but it's just the wrong thing, the wrong wording, the wrong verbiage.
Or even out of context, they could twist your words.
Absolutely. I mean, don't become a victim of that. You're already a victim of something else, unless you want to say, hey, fuck it, I got nothing to lose. That's up to you. But do understand that anything you say will be used against you in a court of law.
You do have some protections in regards to that. You can speak to an attorney. You can speak to a clergyman. Both of those are protected speech that they will never divulge or share or shrink.
Hopefully. And if they do, lawyer up. I don't know. I'm not here to give you guys legal advice. I'm really not. I'm here to give you the advice is don't let anybody violate your rights. Just don't. And don't let them trick you into thinking you're a bad person for having weed on you. And therefore feeling guilty and spewing this emotional admit your guilt thing out on the side of it. Don't do that. Hold to what you're doing. What you're doing is not wrong. You are not hurting anybody by growing a plant. You're not hurting anybody by being in possession of it. You're not hurting anybody but possibly yourself, and that's questionable, by smoking too much of it. You just don't.
So I guess OD Dub's battle buddy's out.
Good.
But he's a medical patient, and Florida has legal medical, so.
It happened to me in Maryland. I was a medical patient, and 3 times my property was confiscated. They dropped the charges, and it's only a ticket in Maryland, but I'm not paying you $50 for stealing my stuff and admitting to a crime at that. But I didn't get my possession back. There was no recourse to get the money back for it. It was just like, hey, fuck you, right? And I even had a lot of reports of and saw officers that waited in the parking lots of the weed dispensaries in Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Pulled people over and acted stupid on the side of the road. They were like, oh, and it happened to me. This medical card isn't real. The Maryland medical cards they give you are like more official looking than the actual driver's
I would ask
license.
if he is trained to identify what a medical card is and isn't.
In my case, the officer wanted to let me go. Like, he believed me. This guy was not a douchebag, okay? But he called his little sheriff guy, and I heard him right there. He said, weed is not legal in Maryland. You confiscate, you write her a ticket, and you send her on your way. And the guy was like, sorry, gotta feed my family, right? This cop did his job the way that a cop is supposed to do their job.
The way that the Gestapo did.
Bravo. But yeah, still the way that a Gestapo did. I gotta do what I'm told.
Following orders.
I'm just following orders, you know what? But no, he wasn't disrespectful, is what I mean to say. Tyrannical.
Oh, he was a polite Gestapo.
But he was a polite tyrant. But yeah, the sheriff, the head motherfucker in charge in that county. It's like, no. And the law had been in place for, like I said, 4 years prior to the dispensaries even.
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse for violating it unless you wear a badge.
Unless you wear a badge. Murder is illegal unless you wear a badge. Do you know how many... I'm not going to talk about it. There's not even enough time left. It's 4:53 East Coast, 1:53 here in beautiful Ash Fork, Arizona at the Garden of Freedom. And we got to skedaddle, man. Pretty soon, anyway.
Yep.
Pretty soon. Everybody's quiet, which I think is awesome because I think that means that everything's getting back to normal again and people are,
possibly out of the house and not sitting in front of their Facebook feeds.
Yeah, although, it was fun. It was fun, guys, but straight talk, I'm kind of freaking tired of it too, and I can't wait to get back to the recorded
I wish this gray area of the world collapsing, I'm not a fan of. I wish it would just go all the way or nothing at all. Like, stop toying with me and either destroy everything or fuck off. Would you already? Give me zombies. Give me zombies or electricity. Choose one.
One of my favorite memes to come out of this is the guy poking the virus like, come on, make zombies.
I like the time traveler one. They're like, what year is it? Oh, it's 2020. And they're like, oh my god, have the corpses reanimated yet?
The what?
The what?
And salute to all the meme warriors through the corona.
Yeah, we appreciate the laws.
I feel like it's over. I mean, it's over in my head. I don't give a shit anymore. And I'm not saying I don't care about people getting sick. Yes, I'm concerned about everybody's health, my own and my community's health all the time. This didn't change that about me. I don't go out and, wipe my hand in a puddle of shit and then go shake my neighbor's hand. I didn't do it then. I'm not going to do it now. Nothing's changed. I'm tired of hearing about this new virus. If there's a recommendation about something new you can do for a preventative measure, go ahead, throw that in the headlines. But otherwise, it's like, I'm getting tired of hearing it at this point with a 98% survival rate. So you can argue that the quarantine worked and that's why we had the 98% survival rate. Great. Well, let's just move on with life then and be safe and be aware, but get back to life. People need interaction. You know what I'm saying? You may hate your job, but I guarantee you miss the fuck out of it right now. Don't you? Don't you? You do. So, we're getting there.
All right, we got 5 more minutes.
Almost back to normal. I'm back.
Dawn says, good to see you both. Dawn, it's good to see your Facebook profile picture. You ought to come out here and visit.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of visiting, that is a thing. Make sure you like the Garden of Freedom on Facebook.
The Garden of Freedom, Arizona.
On Facebook. And, see how you can get involved. You can come out here and camp. If you just want a week vacation. If your job's not opening for 2 weeks, come hang out, man. There's 11 acres here. Geodesic frames going up. We're building little structures. You can bring your tent. It is freaking beautiful. As a matter of fact, right now it is sitting at a beautiful 68 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. We've got all the curtains drawn here.
You got the entire night sky.
Oh
Also,
my God, it was
we
so
have a
beautiful
great
last
view
night.
out here. Great weather, and the best part is we have a great community. The people who are here, not just two of us, there's what, 6 of us here.
Everybody works together to continue to build the community, and there hasn't been an argument or a disagreement or
there's been no drama. So come on out, see what we're doing out here. If you want to help, grab a shovel and do some digging, or however it is that the community needs people. So Sedona, Flagstaff, yeah, we're not too far from there, Dawn. I'd say Flagstaff is what, like an hour and a half, an hour?
Yep, about an hour.
Yeah, so we're in that general area.
And there's a big wedding on the 1st.
On May the 1st, be with you.
Yeah, so Adam was supposed to have his ceremonial wedding with his wife Sam at the Libertarian National Convention, which was coming up at the end of May in Austin, Texas. But we don't know if that's going to happen anymore.
Everything's up in the air, right?
Everything's up in the air, and you don't want to miss out on an awesome celebration, especially on an awesome property like this, with everything silly that's going on in the meme world, to Mad Max style get married. So everybody's going to, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a weekend worth of celebration for the joining of these two awesome individuals.
At an off-grid community, so if you want to learn how to live off-grid, this might be the place for you. If you want to learn how to live off-grid and not leave the comfort of your living room, go check out Rabbit Side on YouTube. There are some 3 friends of mine live in an off-grid community, and they do literally genius stuff.
They do weed,
there.
right?
They are cannabis friendly, and
do they grow?
I don't know if they're growing anymore. So yeah, I don't know if they are, but they have in one of the most hostile environments on Earth.
I can dig that. So they can give you some good pointers for your home garden. Perhaps. I don't know. Just an assumption. Man, do you see this? I'm so glad we opened up May 1st. I'm getting very not G.I. Mary Jane-ish. And I need the gym to open back up. Tell me, we're getting ready to get out of here, but I want to know in the comments what business that you're looking forward to having open back up first most. Did I say that right?
Yes, Dawn Rabbit Side on YouTube. And which business was deemed non-essential by the government that you think is essential? For her, it's the gym.
It's the gym, and it is essential for my health. And this is a health crisis. It's a mind, body, and soul thing, right?
I can't understand how doctors tell us that good exercise builds your immune system, and they shut the gyms down during a pandemic. I mean, go figure.
What am I gonna do? Go
There's
out
more
and
people at
lift
Walmart.
2 uneven rocks in the heat and pass out? You need the gym, you need the air conditioning, and it's more about that. It's just being in the company of others. There's this energy exchange, and you can see how other people are lifting and get ideas, and it's not just fuck you, government, for saying gyms are not essential. All the states did that. How dare they, dude?
But golf was essential.
Golf was okay. I even heard AA meetings were getting closed down, and some of them were doing this. But this isn't going to help somebody who's in recovery that needs to be in the presence of others. How dare you say what's essential for one person?
Dawn said parks.
Versus enough. Yeah.
Parks. And you know what? I 100% agree with that. It is for me too. Like I said, I'm a nomad. I travel full-time in a motorhome. And I basically go from national park to national park. I've been doing it for 6 years now. And now I can't go to any. In fact, we were on a national monument. And we left, and about a week later, they shut it down. And they shut the other one down I was planning on going to. So, yes, parks are a big one for me. That is essential for my mental health, I promise you.
Yeah, you got people out there that are battling PTSD, that have learned how to live with it. And they've got productive lives, but it's because they've got their routine down. And when you suddenly stop a routine, you halt somebody's health. I mean, quite literally.
For Zag, they shut down all her dog parks. Zag thought those were essential, I promise you.
I'm glad cannabis was deemed essential, but I'll even argue that same thing. You can't say that Cannabis is essential for some people and not essential for other people. The gym's essential for some people and not others. And this is the whole point, is nobody should say what is and is not essential for you. Forget the quarantine. In general, take it past the quarantine, because we've got laws that tell you what you can and can't have, what is and is not essential to you. They don't get to make that decision. You make that decision.
That is such a personal choice, and it's so invasive that the government's making it for you.
We're not going to take it anymore, man.
They even said churches.
We see this now.
Churches, you're practicing your religion wasn't essential.
They arrested people at churches, man.
That's not why I served.
Jesus H. Christ. Oi, 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 vey. Josh Fisher, you're coming in at the end.
Welcome.
Welcome.
She's going to be sharing this, Josh. So if you want to see our conversation, go to her her Facebook page and just hit play in about a few minutes.
G.I. Mary Jane, in a few minutes. The internet signal's a little weird today, so come on, don't rush me. Don't rush me.
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Josh, Dawn, everybody else who's watching, OD Dub's still with us. We're going back to the original format, version 2.0, come May, which I think's good, because isn't that when like all the TV shows start relaunching their... May sweeps, it's a thing. I remember that being a thing. And we're gonna go back to the original format, start doing weekly reports of the drug war news, which means I need you guys to strap up your boots again and help us stay informed. We're gonna be keeping our eyes on the media, seeing who's being abducted, who's being wrongfully blamed for doing nothing violent in terms of drug arrests, and re-reporting those from the perspective of the victims with the support of the community. And if there's something the media may not be telling us about going on in your town with nonviolent drug arrests, let us know. Joey at thefreedomline.com, JOIE at thefreedomline.com. The good old contact me at GI Mary Jane is shut down because of Corona. There hasn't been fundage. Fundraising has come to a complete halt for me and everybody else, and that is not a gripe. It's just a statement. We'll get back there, but for now, you're just going to have to remember how to spell my name. Very sorry. I'm very sorry. But we'll relaunch that, I think, the second week of May, since we've got a wedding the first week of May.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear. Something around that time.
So it's going to be the War Room with G.I. Mary Jane and Zigzag. Yeah, is that what we're going to call it?
Maybe. Maybe Zag could be our sleeping host. Dude, she sleeps like 20 hours, like a ferret.
Yeah, she sleeps like she is a stoner.
But she...
Oh, look at her. She's leaning. She's such a wonderful puppy dog. All right, anything else? I'm good.
I'm Golden Pony Boy.
Golden.
Name that movie. Golden Pony Boy.
Nobody figured out Eastbound and Down yet either.
No.
Did anybody answer that? All right.
Golden Pony Boy was also a book.
Okay, stop. Then that's the hemp seed giveaway trivia question for the day. It's double faceted. Eastbound and Down and
Golden Pony Boy.
What two movies are those references from? First people to drop it in the comments. We'll send you some hempy seeds, courtesy of Cloverleaf Farms up in good old Wisconsin. And I'm ready to get the fuck out of here and have a big old bowl of cereal. Cocoa Krispies. It's the best munchy food ever.
All right.
The best. All right, y'all. We'll see you then. Pass joints, not judgments. And stuff and things.